Hi, good morning. Today's day 24 with the Enlightened Women, Enlightened Youth Summit. I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And our guest is Sharon Cryan. I know that you're going to enjoy this conversation. What I love about Sharon is our youngest speaker, and she is embodying this new generation of caring about people and concerns that is this greater than just you. So thank you, Sharon, for doing that. Why don't you come on and just say hi?
Hello, thank you so much, Ruth. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for being able to see that and what I'm trying to do with Food Nerd. It means a lot to me, and I know it's definitely much needed, kind of in the generation that I'm growing up with. That just embodiment of self-love and appreciation and respect for the planet is something that is I'm really excited to be a part of. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And Deb Goldberg is with us today. Deb is going to start us off with our intention. Are you ready for that, Deb?
I am.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let's all just take a really deep breath. Our intention today is that our souls receive spiritual manna, filling that hunger that gnaws inside of us. May we become aware of the world we are living in and share a common goal to bring not only peace on earth, but also abundance, such that no one goes without the necessities of life. May we live harmoniously with each other, whether at home, work, or community. May our Divine Mother help us to feel empathy for those who need a helping hand. As the wind blows seeds of greatness across the beautiful land, I am here cultivating them, spreading them out and showering them with love and divine nature, just like I'm doing with you. I am cultivating seeds of greatness that will feed the land, and as man tastes the loveliness of each gem, he will then know the love of the Father that is always feeding his love to his people. Come, let me nourish you in ways only I can do, and let me bring forth the fruit in each one of you, so you can then nourish the land, my people, my creation. Amen.
Amen. Oh, that was beautiful.
It's beautiful, Deb. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll start with your video. Now, of course, Sharon hasn't seen this, so it's always a little nerve-wracking, but we'll go ahead. We're going to go for it. Hi, I'm Dr. Ruth Anderson, here with Enlightened World Network. Welcome to this episode of Enlightened Women. Grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, settle in, and join us. Enlightened Women is a show about women who are consciously awake and choosing to fully embrace life. These are real women living real lives while walking in spirit. Some of us have been called to serve humanity in a big way that requires us to let go of all that we are to take on the challenge. Our guest today, Sharon Cryan, heard a calling to not only serve others, but to literally feed them as well. Sharon Cryan is the founder and CEO of Food Nerd Inc., a specialty food manufacturing and biotechnology company. Her goal is to provide the most nutrient-dense and environmentally conscious food to every belly on the planet. I am so honored to introduce you to Sharon Cryan.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Tell me the history. How did Food Nerd, A, get titled that, and B, come into reality?
Oh my goodness. I like to joke and say that Food Nerd was started by the universe and not me. It kind of literally came out of nowhere. By trade, I'm an attorney. So I was in the past, international business and economics minor, and I knew I always wanted to go to law school. So I was kind of following that path. But along the way, I just started really diving into health. I think really had to do with growing up with a mother who had multiple sclerosis and, a father that also had many chronic diseases, and just kind of seeing it a lot everywhere you go. kind of just bombards us. And I think I wasn't consciously paying attention to it, but over time, I just find myself on my spare time watching nutritional videos, reading books, and just having this natural desire to learn it. And it wasn't really until law school when I started feeling just not as healthy as I knew I could. And I was mentally exhausted, and I was kind of working full time and going through school, and I was just exhausted. So I knew that our bodies have a capacity to just operate at such a flow-like level. And I just knew that there was a level of energy that I wasn't hitting in every way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so after, at night, I would start reading some neuroscience books. I started reading some nutrition books, and I kind of saw all of these little pieces starting to connect together. And I think it really hit me my first year of law school into my second year, where I realized that we all know you are what you eat, but it's not just the physical matter of what you're eating. It's not just the broccoli. It's the intention and the energy that you have when you're eating it that makes such a big difference. And I started noticing the times that I would just grab something and I would be standing in line waiting to order something. I would have this communication with myself. And it was this dialogue that I didn't even realize was happening. And then I knew it wasn't going to be good for me. And then I didn't feel good afterwards. And then it was just a perpetual cycle. And so in law school, I just made a decision. I needed to just take care of myself. And being an early adult, I knew I was the only one going to do that. So started looking into plants and figured out they're the highest nutrition. They carry the most energy. And I started meal prepping for myself and juicing, and everybody in law school started noticing. I was carrying around my box of fresh green juices and all the things, and my energy just shot up. People said I was glowing, and I felt amazing. I felt so connected to like that source of energy that I know we all have inside. And it was kind of my first time really feeling that. And when people started confirming that they saw it too, I knew that we've all, as a society, accepted such a low level. And people started asking me if I'd meal prep for them. And so I did. And then after a couple weeks of doing it, I was kind of people were joking that I was like a food drug dealer because they felt so good when they were eating their food. And then I ignored it, but it kept happening. People kept, asking me questions. And I was, at a point where I was more excited to read research papers on nutrition and to talk to people about how they can take care of themselves more than I was about law. And so I just made the decision that is really hard, especially when your ego is set and, I'm going to be an attorney, I'm going to do this, but my heart and my excitement was wanting to help people. And I felt alive whenever I would speak with somebody, and to see them have that connection in their mind where they're like, okay, this resonates with me. And I think I want to take better care of myself. Like seeing somebody else experience that is like electric to me. Like I just get so excited. And so I decided to quit the firm I was at, and I decided to start Food Nerd. And so here we are 2 years later, almost 2.5 years now. And it's been absolutely the most amazing journey ever. Food Nerd name came from, everybody just called me a food nerd. It was, like I said, the universe chose the name for me. I didn't even choose it. Everybody was like, oh, you're such a food nerd. And so I was like, okay, that's what it is. So it just happened.
So is all of the food in Food Nerd plant-based?
It is, yeah. It's 100% plant-based.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do it? You literally prepare the meals and ship them.
So right now it's really interesting. We actually just have a whole new product line that we just launched. We're really excited about. But basically what we do is we make the most nutrient dense, like mega foods. So we take food that nature has condensed all of its nutrients into, and then we bring them to a source. We sprout and we germinate them. So we bring them to their nutritional peak. So their peak of life, basically the enzymes, the nutrients in there. And then we turn them into the products that everybody in this country is emotionally attached to. And that whole process has just been developing over the last couple of months, and it's been such a blessing. But basically what we do is we take the most amazing sprouts and amazing superfoods, and we put them into things like Doritos and Cheez-Its and Oreos and fruit roll-ups and all the things that our ego and our body are very attached to. And so that's what we're doing. And we ship nationwide, door to door, and hopefully we'll be in stores nationwide. So exciting.
And you also prepare meals.
So yeah, so our meals are, they are these actual, like these products, they are complete nutrient dense meals. So for example, one of our bags of cheese per se is equivalent anywhere to 6 to 10 salads, nutrient density wise. So they are complete meals. We've just kind of restructured the way we're making them. So my goal is to feed the world. And the thing that I've struggled with the most and have had the most difficult time is healthy eating is a luxury thing and people can't afford it. And it's really struck my, my core for a long time, because I grew up in a poor family, single mama, on welfare with 6 kids. And we couldn't even afford to eat healthy, even if my mom had the education of what we should be eating. And it always really upset me that for the first year or two in business, the only people who could afford my food were people who were making really decent money. And it really broke my heart, because I don't want to make a luxury product. I don't believe nutrition and health should be a luxury thing. Everybody deserves the most amazing food. So we're kind of switching our whole product line, and we're making it as absolutely cheap as possible. And so right now we are the cheapest per meal out there. So we're continuing to work on that, because that is the goal, is just to feed everybody.
That's a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
that you are wanting to give to people across the planet. So can you give me a sample menu for a meal that
Yes.
I might order from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, let's say you're going to do our sprouted chocolate goji berry chia pudding. That's a really popular one. So we have sprouted chia seeds, flax seeds, we have goji berries, we have cinnamon, stevia, dates, raw cacao, and that all comes in a pouch, and you sprout it at home overnight and you eat it in the morning, and you're having something that tastes like a dessert, but it's completely raw and it's all sprouted. And it's absolutely amazing for you. And then the second one would be, I would say, our most popular, which is our Reese's cup. So it's actually a Reese's cup meal, and in it is sprouted buckwheat, sprouted broccoli seeds, peanuts, dates, stevia, and we've been also experimenting with putting sprouted cabbage in there as well. So,
But it tastes like a Reese's.
Tastes just like a Reese's cup.
Wow.
Yeah. So exciting. We've been experimenting a lot.
And I'm just looking behind you, and you've got science and energy and love. I mean, it's a vision board of the work that you do.
Yes. So it's so funny. So here at our facility, all the walls are actually whiteboards and blackboards. And if you are not constantly letting that energy flow out and writing ideas down, seeing them, then I believe, you're kind of like hindering yourself. So we write on all the walls. It's kind of my favorite thing to do, is make everything a vision board. so yeah, so there's a little bit of everything. There's the science, the energy that we pull in, it all goes into every single recipe. And we have a very in-depth methodology that we do to actually infuse our food with positive, loving energy, which is a huge portion to what we do. So it's not just the food and the nutrient density, it's the energy and the love that's put into it.
So can we talk about mindfulness for a minute? Because we're talking about mindfulness while you're eating, and you are putting mindfulness into your food preparation.
So mindfulness, I think, when it comes to food, it's something that we've lost, but if you kind of look back into history, cultures have been doing it forever. The concept of praying over your food, showing gratitude, that is just installed in us, but we've kind of lost that. And we've kind of traded that moment of mindfulness in connection with food for convenience and fast pace. And there's such an important component that we don't even realize physically that's happening, the change in our entire body on a cellular level when it comes to like how we're actually going to digest the food differently. But it also puts our entire hormonal system into a completely different process as well. So what we do is we infuse our food with 528 hertz, which is the energy and the frequency of love. And that's the same energy that the sun emits onto the world, like the entire botanical world. Every plant absorbs that through the sun. So we heighten it and we reinfuse it back into the food. And then all of our packaging is hand packaged with positive affirmations on every single package. And what that does is when you read it, when you open it, and you see a message that says give thanks often, or you're amazing, or you're beautiful, or it forces you to just slow down and just be in that moment and think twice before you eat. And even if it's a split second of just gratitude, you're going to change your physiology. You're going to digest the food better and you'll be able to assimilate the nutrients better, but you're also going to increase the energy in the whole day, just emotionally. Like there's so many ripple effects to that one single moment. Yeah, I just feel really blessed that it kind of goes hand in hand with our products because they're going to be holding it. And it's kind of like we have that one moment of influencing them on a health level, but also on an emotional level at the same time. So yeah, so it's a huge mission of mine.
I love how that all comes together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. And that kind of just, that when I started the company, I was actually handwriting everything, every ingredient, everything on every meal. And it was funny because then I looked into, getting stickers and things like that. And customers said they noticed a difference in the food from when I was handwriting onto it versus when I wasn't. And it blew my mind because 10 out of 15 customers would say that. And so I was like, what is happening? What am I doing to the food? And then what are they not receiving when I'm not doing this? And that's when it also clicked for me, why the food industry that we have now is so empty and devoid of nutrients and love and energy, is because we're missing that human touch. We're missing that literal transfer of energy from the person that's making it into the food. And everybody says, your mother makes the best food. And there's a reason because of that. It's literally transferring their energy into what they're making. And then you are then receiving that. And most food that we buy is machine processed, and it's so heavily processed and it's so detached from where it was grown in nature. So our goal is to kind of reinfuse all that back in.
Well, and I wonder, Sharon, if that isn't a reason why some people overeat so much, because they keep trying to feel that connection from the food and they're not getting it. So they just keep trying other foods to see if they can find it.
100%. I joke and I say, I've thought I've been selling and creating food products, but I'm actually selling self-love. And that is really what I've noticed. First year and a half of the business, I just listened to customers. Like, why is it so hard for them to eat healthy and to take care of diet? And there's that emotional connection that it's a yo-yo effect. It's like anything else. Some days I love myself and I want to treat myself really, really well, and I make good decisions. And some days I don't. And oftentimes everybody will say to me, well, I really just want this one dish. And I would ask where that dish was, like why that dish? And it usually stemmed from a very intense emotional connection to their mother, to their father, a trip that their parents would go on every year. And that was the food that their brain associated with the emotion. And so that's why we're making the products that we are now, because that's what everybody's connected to. Those moments of their parents giving them a treat, giving them candy, giving them those things. So that's that yearning for connecting, that's exactly what we do through food. It's really deep. It's really deep. Really deep.
So I have found that so often when somebody's following their calling, and this truly feels like a calling for you,
Yes.
that they have to grow and stretch in ways that they never could have thought that they would have to grow and stretch. What are some of the areas of growth for you that might have been the hardest in this journey?
So it's so funny you say that. So just the last, I'd say 3-4 months ago, I've been starting to have this realization that the things that I think that the universe puts us through, our struggles, are usually the thing that you're supposed to kind of maybe help other people with because you have personal experience. And so what I realized is that food for me, I've always battled with food. And it was because that was my connection and my difficulty growing up in a single family home. My mother, we're on welfare, and we would have meals delivered by the government to us, and we'd have to go to charities and different churches to get free meals. I don't know what it was, but there's something that happened that I forgot about as a child. And then in starting this company, it's like it all came back to me. And it forces me to deal with those wounds that were never really healed. And I think because I had to experience those things, and I can now kind of be a light for other people to see that within themselves. And so my personal struggle is with food. Why I would eat something was not for a self-loving reason. It was the opposite. It was usually because I was getting those indulgences because I wasn't happy with myself in the moment. We would seek pleasure from outside things. And food is just so happened to be that outside number one source that we get pleasure from, instead of looking inwards and being like, why do I not feel satisfied with myself? Oh, because you're in a job that doesn't fulfill you, or you're making decisions that, are not your highest. And so it was almost like every time I eat something, it forces me to ask the question, is this a self-love tool, or is this something else? And yeah, so it's been a struggle for me, but it's given me so much clarity to be able to help other people. And I can see it now in other people when we think we're talking about food, but we're talking about really deep emotions. And after talking to a customer for 10 minutes, we're crying together, and it's very deep. And they just thought they were asking questions about our products, but it's not. It's a deep struggle. What that kind of stems from is my connection with my mother. My mother is absolutely beautiful, amazing person, but I've just had to watch her absolutely struggle my whole life. And it was really painful for me to watch that. And the way that she would show love was through food. She was always in the kitchen, always cooking for us. And even though we couldn't afford to go to the grocery store and buy what we wanted, and we also, we lived on a lot of donations when it came to food, but she would do the best that she could, and she would make it so loving. And it was the one area in my mother's life where she felt like she could give something to her babies. And so I think that's something that I absorbed subconsciously, and I want to help kind of share that message with people. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's been such a journey.
Well, and while you were talking, the phrase that came to my mind was that food equals nurturing. Mm-hmm. And so for you as a child, then there were times that you all had to go to strangers, literally, mm-hmm. to get that sustenance. But you, with your calling with Food Nerd, you are providing nurturing through food. It's really beautiful how that has come about.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. I would have never have, like I said, I would have never have chosen to start a food company. And I still don't even believe to this day that I have one, because it doesn't feel that way, but it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm showing people just another way to take care of ourselves and this planet, and just to have gratitude for everything. Because one of my earliest memories that was like really traumatic for me was when it came to school lunches. You had to eat at school lunches because, you couldn't afford to bring your own. And I remember having to eat the government paid lunches and not good quality food. And I remember kind of being really sad and jealous of the other kids that had these really fancy, expensive lunches and all the Lunchables. And I remember, asking my mom why I couldn't have one. And she was like, because they're so expensive, we can't afford it. And society kind of crept in and started creating this barrier of, separation, and food as a tool of separation between us. And that's where we're at now. I mean, if you look at Whole Foods and all the expensive stores, most people can't go there. And so now we have this market of like organic, raw, healthy, plant-based food is now such an expensive thing, where it should be the opposite. This planet provides the most amazing foods for everybody. We shouldn't even have to worry about food. And there's so much life on this planet where we could all eat, and we should all eat for free, and we should all there's so much that we've kind of come so far from that. And it breaks my heart. I think my mission is to really help reverse that and feed the most amazing nature to everybody.
So Sharon, you are in a position now of being the boss. How many people are working with you at this point?
So right now we have a team of about 6 or 7 of us. It's exciting. We're growing, and we're growing very fast. It's hard. We could be growing a lot faster, but what we want to do and what's really important to me is bring on people who are in their hearts. And that's really hard to do when not everybody may speak that language. But the people that we have on now are just absolutely all in their heart. And it's absolutely amazing. And I don't have to worry about someone's intention because they have the same exact mission as me. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges I've had to deal with in trying to grow the company is collaborating, bringing on the best people, because it's so much more than a company. So we're growing, but the universe is bringing people to us. And that's what I realize is I have to stop trying to find the right people and just open my heart and the right people flow in. I mean, that happens all the time. Yesterday, the universe brought somebody in yesterday and it was the most beautiful experience ever. It wasn't even like an interview. It was somebody just pouring their heart and we just connected on such a deep level. And that's what I feel an interview should be. That was amazing.
So you were in law school preparing to go in a completely different direction. Mm-hmm. And here you are managing people in this area. How is it hard for you to not be a perfectionist and expect perfection of the people that work with you?
No, it's really hard. Perfectionism, I think, it can be really good and it could be really bad. It depends on how you handle it. When I feel myself wanting to critique something that maybe one of my teammates is doing, because I would have done it a different way, I feel this internal dialogue where I want to say, oh, you're doing it wrong, or, it's better this way. But often what I've been trying to do is see why they're doing it that way and put my perfectionism on the back burner. And more often than not, I grow from that moment because they're bringing in something that I wouldn't have brought in. But if I let my ego and my perfectionism come in and steal the moment, I wouldn't have been able to be open to that. So I struggle a lot with perfectionism. I think it's something that the business culture that we live in now, I think kind of idolizes. Like you have to be perfect and you have to be this, you have to be that. And then that's when you start selling things that aren't really true. There's a fakeness to it. And if you look at all packaging of food, you look at marketing, it's so disgenuine and it breaks my heart because you know why they put that color there and why they worded it this way. And it's trying to trick people into buying something. And when it comes to marketing and it's really, really hard to make sure that you don't take in all this advice because that's when you get pulled away from your heart. And the last thing I want to do is not be in my heart and let the industry dictate how we communicate to our customers. So having a heart-based company in 2019 it's a challenge, but I think the universe is really ready for it. People want truth. They want authentic people communicating. And that's why I'm so excited, just to be speaking with you about this, because it helps me pull out even more every day of like, okay, why am I doing this? And how can I show this transparency? Because I'm not perfect. The company's not perfect. We are changing every day. We're bettering the products every day. We're doing everything we can, because if we lose focus of why we're doing this and it becomes a money thing or it becomes a marketing profits, scalability thing, then we're moving away from the universe's mission with this. So I think writing on the walls to stay in our hearts is the most important way to remind ourselves to do that.
Sharon, I think one of the trickiest parts of having a heart-based company is that because you are connecting with your employees on a heart-to-heart or spirit-to-spirit level, then there's an expectation of loyalty and of understanding and acceptance of where each other are. So as a manager, how do you deal with that issue of loyalty? What happens when somebody disappoints you because they didn't have your back or they didn't have the company's back? How do you work with that?
So funny. I'm actually experiencing that with two of my teammates, my closest teammates now. When we see the company as the way that we're like connected and that everybody should be loyal to the company. But that's from an ego standpoint. The company is a separate entity only to the ego, but to the heart, Food Nerd is everybody's heart involved doing the same thing. And I have to keep reminding myself of that because my close teammates now is going through something personal, and it's definitely taken a toll on where she's putting her time and her loyalty. And so my initial feelings are that of like somebody in their ego, that can't do that. And that's not this, not that. And I think having that conscious moment in communication with myself and saying, okay, how can I be a space for this team member to feel confident and comfortable to tell me anything, and to not think that that the company is hanging over us as this third party entity, but the company is actually in our hearts. And if I can create a space for her to come through and say what's going on with her, the company wins. And I think I have to keep reminding myself that if I don't stay there, the company hurts and it suffers from that. So that's what I did. I had a conversation, not about the company, but just her. How are you doing? What are you going through? What can I do for you to help you? And I think as companies get larger nowadays, there's that's lost. When you're a small company, it's easy to do, but the more you grow, I see it all the time with other startup companies that I work with, and it becomes this machine, and that personal connection gets lost when the heart starts to get drained out of it. And so I'm very, very thankful to have some amazing people on the team that are so heart-centered that that's the first thing that they ask. How was your day? How was your morning going? How was your night? How did you sleep? We start in a place of gratitude and openness. I think that's more important is, making sure everybody's okay every day, and then letting the company flow through next. Because that's most important.
No, thank you for that. Sharon, you are a spiritual being having this physical existence. How do you deal with those highs and lows that life gives you and still keep focused on living your calling?
I think one of the main reasons that I journal on a daily basis is because I have to have that dialogue. I have to see it, because the days that I don't journal and I don't have that moment of, okay, I'm having these ups and downs, and this is, my human body needs, and this is my ego needs, and then taking a moment to write it down and then step back and from that spiritual place and say, I'm actually not this body, I'm not just this issue that's presenting itself. I'm actually this spiritual being that is just has love for all of it. I think it's really important to have that daily practice, and meditating and praying is something that's really important to me, but really journaling and writing it down, because it takes that moment of consciousness to say, okay, this issue at hand, it may seem like it's everything and it's everything that's important right now, but it's really not. It's really myself trying to learn myself through this problem, and looking at it from that standpoint is how I deal with it. It's just that moment of not letting yourself get caught in thinking that you are just this limited person in this limited moment. Running a business, we need money, and there's all of these things that could be issues or could be stressors, and they are. If I stayed in that mindset that this is a stress, it's something I have to fix, then they become even bigger problems or bigger issues. But when I step back, and I always have to do it in a humorous way, I'll say something, to one of my team members, like, it's so funny that, we're these beautiful spiritual beings, like choosing to have this amazing experience. And then I'm over here stressing about dollars, or I'm stressing about this X, Y, and Z. And I just laugh about it. And then usually it all kind of just simmers down, and then bam, the universe brings in an answer. An idea will flow through, or somebody will walk through the door with literally a solution to what the issue was. And that happens all the time. And I think that every other entrepreneur, every other person, they have that same exact inspiration and that same thing waiting to come through the door, if they just recognize that they're just this beautiful spiritual person and not that person that's caught in the moment. If people could understand how many opportunities are literally standing behind them, they would never worry. You would never stress, because all you have to do is just open your heart, open that door, and the universe will bring everything to you. That's so hard to do. It's really hard to let your ego take the back seat and let your heart do it.
One last question. You are on a spiritual journey. What are the most current learnings that you're learning from being on this journey?
I would say what I'm learning most is what the journey of self-love is, like what self-love and acceptance is. So much, I guess, of what our initial thoughts are just in this society and kind of the things that we're surrounded by is that there's always something to fix, or there's always something that could be better, or that has to be done. And that's living from a place of fear. And I was very much raised in a place of fear. And I now have this, this like truth in my heart always says what self-love is just loving every single thing as it is. I think being in a place of self-love as much as possible is a lesson that I'm learning right now. The universe just wants me to just accept and not try to rush to the next goal, not try to rush to the next thing, and just loving myself right now, where my spirit is at right now, why it chose to be in this moment. Because I'll say all the time, why can't the company be here instead of here? Why can't we do this? And it makes me so sad because we're all going to miss out on the moment we're in right now. And that moment of like, I love that we're not this big company yet. I love that we're this small company that are going through all these struggles. Like I have to love that and love everything physically about myself. And I think that's a huge thing. It's really hard and saves our society. And loving the physical body that you're in, like respecting the physical body that you're in, because we're just bombarded with a lot of self-hatred. I very much fall victim to that sometimes, and I'll have all these fears and I want to change this or I want to do this. And the universe reminds me every day that when I stay in that self-love place and I realize that my soul chose to look this way, my soul chose to be at this place at this time, it gives me such comfort. I hope anybody that is inspired by that can maybe try those practices at home. Just looking at yourself in the mirror, writing it down, telling yourself you're absolutely perfect where you are in the moment, and that you chose to be here. And that's the important thing. You weren't thrown into any situation, you chose it. And you chose it because there was a beautiful lesson that you wanted to learn from it.
Sharon, I just want to thank you for not only sharing with us today, but for choosing to follow that life calling of providing nourishment and love and mindfulness to other people through food. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored that you can see that and feel it. It means so much to me.
Sharon, if people want to learn more about Food Nerd or follow you, how do they do that?
So our website is foodnerdmeals.com. You can just type in Food Nerd in the Google. We're the first thing that pops up. Or if you want to follow us on any social medias, follow us on Instagram, Snapchat. We're Food Nerd Inc. And we're really excited. We're going to start launching some really cool videos of what we're doing here in the kitchen and our team, and talking about real self-love issues. So if everybody wants to check that out, it's going to be really amazing. And I'm super honored. Yeah. Give us a call or check out all the things that we're offering. If you have any questions or anybody has any self-love struggles or issues with food, we would love to be a space to hear that and to help in any way possible. So we are completely here anytime.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me get everybody unmuted here. And Sharon, unmuted. There we go.
Yay. Oh, that was so exciting. Thank you so much.
I hope that you are as proud watching that woman speak as I am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I just get emotional just thinking about it. It's so weird to watch yourself. I've never had to watch myself in that sense. So thank you so much for pulling that out of me. It was such an amazing space that you created. So thank you so much.
Well, you were so fully at a total goosebumps. You were so speaking from your higher self.
Yeah.
It was really stunning to watch. And I took a whole page of notes here a couple things that I wanted to bring up to you.
Mhm.
You mentioned the sprouts that you're working with are brought to the peak of life, then used. And of course, I went to the metaphor of that, of as people, how many of us are really brought to the peak of life? I think so many of us find reasons to stay small. We find reasons to continue to see ourselves as damaged or unlovable, or unable to love somebody else. And we don't allow ourselves that opportunity to get to that peak of life. But look at you. You are. You're
Thank you.
absolutely at that peak of life. So thank you for that lesson for us. You talked about, I've got so many notes here. You talked about issues with food. And I know that some of the ladies that we have watching this, and some of the gentlemen too, have issues with food. And I was thinking while you were talking, that's really like having issues with blood. You need food. It's such a fundamental part of your existence in a body. It's just so unfathomable to think about fighting food in the same way that you would fight blood, right? So what are your thoughts about issues with food? You talked about your own issues with food. You've opened your doors to people who are dealing with food issues to be able to come to you and check in. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, because food is something that we need to survive and this body needs it for energy, I think it's something that we all have accepted such a wide variety of behavior with. Like, in its essence, food is fuel for our body, but it's also emotional food. It's emotionally keeping us sustained, and just like anything, it could be abused. And I think that food is often abused, and it's never the moments, when you are out with friends and you're connecting over a meal. It's usually, I found, for my personal experience and my experience with my customers and my teammates, it's those moments when you're alone. It's the moments when you're home, and it's the moments when you're in a place of fear, and it's our automatic reaction to use food to deal with something or kind of block out something that's trying to come up, and we use food to kind of keep it in. And that's what I notice. And when I ask people, most people always say, yeah, I know, absolutely, I do that all the time. And they know that one moment, if they could go back and just sit with themselves before they make that decision, they know how intensely emotional it could get, because it comes from such an emotional place. And I just want to talk about it. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about food and in terms of your physical body. Yes, it can make you, healthy food can make you strong or make you look beautiful or make you look really great. But using it as a tool to love yourself internally is so much more powerful to me. And I hope that I can, just create that communication with people and say, is a piece of, broccoli or kale, is that something that is delicious in a way that it's going to satisfy this addiction? No, but if you sit there and you eat it knowing that you're doing it because your body needs it, you just love yourself in such a deeper level. And it's crazy. I never thought food could be that powerful, but when you use it for that purpose, it's insanely powerful. So it's pretty awesome, and I just want to be a space for people to try that. Try, one meal a week where the only things that you choose to go on your plate is something that is going to replenish your body, and say it as you're eating it. Every bite, I love myself. This is healing my body. This is giving me, amazing skin and healthy blood and all of those things that you want to feel. Say it as you're eating it. And it's crazy what the body does. It's a pretty amazing thing. So
I've heard too that we often crave the foods that our mother ate while we were in utero.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yep. There's so much of a chemical component to our food. The first, 1 to 6 to 7 years of your life, you're developing your your palate. You're developing emotional connections to your entire surrounding. And food is just another environmental component that you're developing. So a lot of I deal with a lot of parents that have kids that don't want to eat anything other than goldfish, or they don't want to eat anything other than candy bars. And it's because of that emotional connection when they were younger. And usually we, like parents will treat you with something. They'll take you out for ice cream, or they'll do these things. And so we don't realize that on a chemical level, our brain is actually connecting that food with that emotion. And that's called a memory. And then that's stored in your body. So then when you want to feel that same reward, that same love that you did in that moment, your body's going to bring up that chemical craving of the food that you ate. So it's so much science and chemically based as it is an emotional basis. And it's crazy. The body pairs it as one, and that's, a memory. And that's why a lot of people, you'll smell something and it will just trigger thoughts. It's weird the way the body stores memory, but food and smell and all of our senses, those are the ways that it connects it to the physical realm. So it's kind of crazy when you identify that, it is really amazing.
Well, and you talked about, you realized you're selling self-love.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty profound.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought it was the food itself, like, oh, I can make the best tasting healthy food, or I could, whatever it was. But then it really wasn't. When I would speak with customers, this is my favorite thing. I love when people call the company and want to ask questions. And I just love to listen to them, because they'll say, it's never the dish that I thought was like my best tasting award-winning dish. It was never that. It was always the way that they felt about themselves when they were eating it. Like everybody at work went and got, Chinese takeout or something, but they sat at their desk and they ate this meal. And it was like a moment with themselves that made the meal even more delicious and more meaningful than it was. And so hearing those stories from people saying like, instead of going and doing something that maybe wasn't the best thing for my body at that moment, I chose to eat this meal instead, or I chose to eat this bag of snacks. And I sat with myself and that's a moment of self-love. And if we can represent that or create a space for people to do that, then that's worth every ounce of work that I do every day.
But not only that, you are open to teaching people how to promote that self-love for themselves that isn't always food based.
No, it's usually not food based. Like food it's just a great tool, but it's the thought. You can eat something that's delicious and healthy for you, but if you're having self-hate, hating thoughts, or you're not in a good place, that doesn't mean that the good food is going to outweigh any of the negative, things that's going on. So that personal self-love and that personal desire to take care of yourself and make a decision that's good for you and everybody around you and the planet, that's most powerful. And food is just a tool, a way to do that. But the self-love decision, the moment to say, I'm going to take care of myself right now, that's the most powerful thing above any tool that you can use. And it's, you can attest to how powerful that is. It's the best feeling, it's the best feeling in the world, is to say, wow, I took care of myself today. And I made that decision, and I decided to take myself out of an environment and go meditate, or just go sit by water, or go sit by a tree, something that makes me feel good. It's so amazing. It's, it's contagious. You just want to keep doing it. And I hope that inspires people to do that thing that they love, no matter what it is. Make sure you do it every day.
I really loved, Sharon, when you said to love your physical body, that your soul chose to look like this. Your soul chose to be here right now, having these experiences. Mm. I can imagine some people saying, well, why would I choose this body?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Body and self-image, just the societal, social media and just how connected we are instantaneously in this generation, has created a lot of great things and a lot of, negative things. And I think self-image is so damaged nowadays. And it's so, younger generations feel so just not good because they feel like they have to compare themselves on a physical level to celebrities or to other influencers or people that that may look prettier than them or that may have these other things that they don't have. And it breaks my heart because every single person has such incredible beauty and ability. And I truly feel that that we chose this. And if you think of it that you were kind of thrown into this body, then you feel punished in a way if you don't look like somebody else. Or if you look at it like, wow, no, like I am amazing the way I am. And what I have is something that no one else has. And I chose to learn something from this and offer this. And then I can receive things that other people have. So it's used like looking at our physical bodies as a lesson and as a tool as well, instead of something that we're confined and stuck in. And then you can start to see the beauty in yourself. And then everybody sees the beauty in you because you're glowing, because you're just happy. And happy is the most beautiful makeup you can wear is a smile. The most beautiful thing you can be is just somebody comfortable in their own skin and truly falling in love with themselves is more powerful than any lipstick, is more powerful than any dress or anything that you could put on your body. And I want people to feel that because it's so, I struggle with that so much. And especially growing up, there's just beautiful celebrities everywhere and everybody's trying to make themselves perfect when they're not realizing that they already are. And them in their insecurity only causes more insecurity. But them in their security, my nose looks this way and I love it. That empowers people to love their own selves. And it's so powerful. So love your body, love it. It's amazing, and take care of it and cherish it because the soul that it's encasing is so incredibly beautiful.
I love that. Sharon, you are wise beyond your years.
Oh, thank you.
I'm enjoying this conversation very much.
Oh,
I'd love to hear from Deb Goldberg. Deb, do we have any friends over with our Facebook group?
Yes, we do. We have lots of people on and they're all loving this conversation, Sharon.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's see what comments we have. Let's see. I really liked when you're talking about the intention and energy you have when you eat something, first of all, because I know that I've approached food sometimes like, I don't know if I should be eating this, which right away is setting up an emotional response of how I'm going to feel digesting that food, right? Is exactly what you're talking about. Is such a important thing to understand. And Terry Angel said, your goal to feed the world is just an amazing mission and so needed. Supercharged food, fantastic. Love energy in the food. These are all comments, people. And you said that it shifts your hormones too, the types of foods that you're packing for people. And so there's a lot of comments about what you said. Gratitude for the food helps you digest better and increase your energy. Kimberly says, such a wonderful initiative. I can't wait to try it myself. Audrey says she loves this. Terry Angel says it's amazing. I always put Reiki energy into food before consuming and love the idea of infusing it with the love energy as well. Thank you. Terry said that she grew up in the South where food was the center of everything. If someone comes for a visit, enough food is cooked to feed an army. And I said the same thing. I grew up Jewish and everything revolves around food. Mm-hmm. So food is everything. And it really does this mindset, even so whether you don't have enough food or there's too much food, and that becomes the relationship. The food's a relationship rather than with each other.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's one of the things I notice is that people right away, when they think that they have to, you want to start eating healthier, that they're having to give up their social connection with food, or they're giving up their love at their dinner table. And that's not the case at all, because then you're saying that the food represents more than the connection with the people around the table. And that's something I help, people kind of see, that is that I have dinner with my family all the time, and it's nothing has changed except I'm eating broccoli versus something different, and or I'm eating a bag of Sprout chips, but the connection is actually stronger for me because I can connect more with them because I love myself more and I'm making better decisions about myself, and so it actually heightens that relationship, but it also makes you deal with any of that insecurity that you may have of, why do I feel that I can only connect with them by giving them food, by eating their food, instead of what can we connect on a deeper level about above the food. And I think that's something it forces you to go deeper, and that's scary. It could be really scary. So it's a powerful tool to sit with yourself if you feel that way. Like, oh, I can't enjoy this dish with my family member because I don't feel good after it. You don't have to eat it, but talk about, I really love you and I want to connect with you, and you mean so much to me, and this meal that we share every holiday or whatever, it means the world to me. And say that, open your heart in that moment, and you'll see that the value isn't the food, it's the connection with that person. So I just encourage that real conversation, to be had.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's where the truth is, because the truth is in the connection to each other, not to just the food. You have a different connection to food, but you're not going to get a conversation really. It's heart-centered in a different way.
Right.
And I also, like your mom, cooked all the time for people because that was a way for me to show love for so many years, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to come out of myself. So cooking was such a major thing for me. Okay. Audrey says there are enough of everything for everyone, enough opportunities, money, love, and great food. And I'm saying that you're such an inspiration and an amazing role model for everyone, but especially for young entrepreneurs, because you're talking about, heart-centered business. And I don't think a lot of people, no matter what age they are, but getting in there with young people as they're going to start their careers over their life and build businesses of teaching heart-centered business. So I could even see you growing, not just with the food, but actually having leadership for young entrepreneurs and having heart-centered businesses.
Thank you so much. Oh, that means so much. Yeah, no, it is a true passion of mine, because I think the business culture is so, Silicon Valley, so tech, so kind of masculine dominated. And there's not a balance to that, where it's like, okay, we're creating amazing technology, amazing products, but why? Let's talk about the underlying issue of, like, what value are you trying to bring to somebody's life? And that often gets missed. And then when it's time to sell the product, they got so caught up in everything else that it's hard to actually communicate that to the person. Like, no, I want to add value to somebody's life. And just earlier today, I was speaking with somebody who wants to start a business, and they were talking about the numbers and everything. And they're 18 years old, right in college, super young. And I was just like, why do you want to do this? And then after a couple of whys, I got to the emotional part, and I was like, that's beautiful. I'm like, that is what you need to lead with. Lead with that. Don't be afraid to lead with your heart in a business discussion. Just because something is, has to be in business lingo, you don't have to fit that mold. You can have a business and be yourself, be authentic, and say the truth of why you're doing this. And I think if I can inspire anybody to do that, it's definitely a little bit harder because you kind of look weird at first at a networking event. But I promise you will feel so authentic and proud of yourself when you leave, because you know that you didn't mold to anybody's, configuration. You stood yourself. And that's the best thing you can do. So yeah, thank you for seeing that. I hope I can, inspire anybody to do that, because it's amazing.
I think that you're doing all the groundwork now for that to happen. And I even see a book in the future. I see a book, a heart-centered leadership book for businesses. So yeah, you're young. There's a lot ahead for you to do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Audrey says you're giving me the juice to work on my business tonight. Even though I lack of sleep, I feel I can do it. Yeah, Audrey.
Yeah, it's amazing. No, Audrey, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for saying that. Do it. If it makes you feel alive, oh my gosh, put all of your energy into it. And don't worry about all the business stuff. That the universe will bring it to you. Just focus on the love that you have in your heart to do it. And I promise you, you'll be happy every day.
Mm-hmm. Terry says, lose the lack mentality and know there is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Terry said she learned years ago from the book, The Magic, about being grateful for everything about the food we put in our body, from the person who grew it to the harvester to the person selling it, and pour gratitude into all of that. And that it makes the food taste better. So that's a lot of what you're talking about. And Kimberly says, selling self-love is such a huge message. That message has been pivotal in her own journey that just started 6 months ago. Understanding the message from A Course in Miracles, that she is perfect in God's eyes and in her essence, changed her life. And once you can love yourself, you can love everyone. So it is, you're getting lots of feedback. And I think that you should go on. And Stephanie's saying ambitious goal to feed the world, and I wish you all the best. And she wrote a lot. So I think you need to go on to the Facebook Live group and read all these beautiful messages that people are sharing about you and how you are inspiring them.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, everyone. That makes me feel amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it means the world to me. It's really tough to, to be in the world that we're in. But when you have people like this, like Ruth, that create this space for you to be yourself, it makes the world a difference. So thank you so much for being a part of this amazing community. And thank you so much for listening. It's so cool. Like, I never thought I would be on a podcast before. So thank you so much just for being here and for listening to me. It makes every non-sleeping night worth it. So thank you.
So Deb, I so appreciate your talking about the book and being a mentor for folks, because I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this, what I'm also seeing, Sharon, is you speaking at conferences to young entrepreneurs, and not just young entrepreneurs, to anybody who's wanting to bring heart-centered leadership into their business. And there's 2 other speakers on the summit. They spoke, I don't remember what day, day 7, day 9, something like that. Olivia Parrud and Anumani Santos. Okay. And I would like you to take a look at their work, because Absolutely. They are also working on bringing the heart and soul into business. So that could be a great connection for you. I encourage you to take advantage of your youth and your vitality, because you can reach the masses in ways that people like 50 and 60 people kind of stop looking at us after a while. But you are right in the prime of, it's right, Deb is laughing, but it's true. But you are right in the prime of vitality and people paying attention to you. So this is a perfect time for you in your life to get out there, check out conferences that are targeting young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that want to bring in the heart and soul to business.
Awesome. No, thank you. Oh my goodness, I will. I didn't, I had never thought of myself as inspiring other people. So it was really exciting to hear that, because I'm here and I would love to help anybody. I received so much help, and I just want to keep giving. Actually, it says that on my wall. It always says the secret to life is giving, and I look at it every day, all day, and you can never see it too much. I want to give, my mission is to for every bag that we sell, I want to give a free one away to somebody in need. And that's the most powerful thing. That's what drives me more than any kind of sales or anything like that, is knowing that I could give that away, and that I've created a life where I can do that, to me is the most powerful thing. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel like they have to kind of grow something and then they kind of hold on to it, where I think if you just let it go and you give, that's where real joy and happiness is. So thank you so much for thinking that I could give advice, because I want to give everything, because it's just, it's a blessing to be able to do that. So thank you so much.
You bet. Well, it's time for us to let our Facebook group go. Sharon, stay on the line here. So all of our friends over on Facebook, thank you so much for being here with Sharon. Thank you for putting your arms around her and embracing her during this time. And much love to all of you. And just a reminder to take a mindful moment while you're doing your food prep or preparing to eat your meal, and just think about that love that's coming into you through the divine light that came in to grow those plants or help bring those animals really into life so they could better serve your needs through food. So much love to you all today, and mindful eating. So love you all.